What happens when we die? Is there an afterlife? Do we go to heaven? Or even worse, hell? Can we communicate with the dead? And if we can, should we? Let's find out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pedro Paranormal, the Duende episode. Today I have a very special guest, a longtime friend of mine named Cynthia, and she's here to tell a couple of stories. And not only that, as you guys can see, we're in a different setup now than the original setup, and that's because we're actually transitioning this show into a different show that we're going to be working on together. But we'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But anyways, welcome, Cynthia. Thanks for being here with me to kind of join the San Pedro Paranormal family.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You know what? So why don't we start with your friend's story about the duende story, because that story really got to me. I really liked it.
Sure. I go walking to Plaza Mexico often with my kids, and I have a friend that has a business there, and they were telling me, well, him and his wife, because they're together. Mm-hmm. But the husband was the one that heard this from firsthand from his one of his customers. One of his customers came in, freaked out, almost yelling, crying, and he was saying that he saw something. And it was kind of like following him through the bushes in Plaza Mexico. And he was like, what? Somebody's following you? He was like, no, something. And he was like, what? What is that? And he was like, you will not even believe me, so I'm not even going to say it. I'm just like, let me relax, and I'm going to be going my way. But he was like, no, like, what's going on? So he was like, you're not going to believe me. Like, no, there's no point on me telling you because you're not going to believe me. You're going to think I'm crazy. He's like, no, I'm up for everything. Just tell me what is going on. So he said, there's this little tiny person by the bush while I was walking through, and he had a little pointy hat, and it was all green, and it was looking at me like that, and with pointy teeth, and it was just staring at me, and I was just terrified. I've never seen something like that. It was not a cat, believe me, it was not a cat. And he was like, nah, you're just lying, whatever, folk story, whatever. So he's like, no, you see, I knew you weren't going to believe me. I knew you weren't going to believe me. So he was like, forget it, I'm leaving. But he said that he left very like terrified, and he was still like, no, I'm not crazy. And he just kept walking away. So then that happened, and he was like, yeah, he's definitely crazy. So then what happened after was like a couple weeks later, this other guy came in, almost terrified, almost equally the same. And he comes in and he says, oh my gosh, I saw something, but you're not going to believe me. And then he was like, what happened? And then he said the same thing. He described the same little person that was by the bushes that, was following him with his, by looking at him, and that he kept having his little hands up, and he had like little claws, and that he had sharp teeth, and that it was just staring at him as he was walking by the path, and that he was hiding by the bushes, and that he was tiny, that he was like around 8 inches, 10 inches around there. It was a very small person. And he said, it's not a cat, it was not a raccoon or any of that. But he was like, you know what? I heard that same story a couple weeks ago. Now he was like, okay, maybe this is real, because these people do not know each other, and they're telling the same story. They're describing the little, I guess, gnome duende the same way, with the same characteristics. So now I'm wondering, like, you know what, this whole entire folk story, it could be true. I don't know.
So it was like confirmation almost.
Yeah, because I've watched so many videos. Like you said, you go up on the internet and you search, and you just take it like it's just a passed down story.
Yeah, of course.
And you don't really think much of it. Like you think it's like all made up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It leaves questions. I mean, these people did not know each other, and they're describing the same thing. They're both, freaked out. And like I said, this happened like around. It was like around. They said it was like 8 to 10 p.m. 8 to 10 p.m.
Oh, so it was at nighttime.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's usually when I used to go and walk in Plaza Mexico with my kids, like when on a Saturday or on a Friday.
Yeah. So for people that don't know what Plaza Mexico is, that's like that swap meet. Or is it like a store kind of?
It has the indoor shops and outside shops, but I mean they have everything in there. Like they have a tianguis inside, but they have like Planet Fitness outside and.
Yeah, isn't it by the 405 or something, or the 105?
105.
105, yeah.
105.
Yeah. I think I've only been there like twice.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's interesting because some of the stuff I saw online talked about how some people that practice magic and stuff are actually able to bring these figurines to life. There's certain rituals that you can do, and they even sell them online, where you could order these, and it'll give you instructions on what to do to either make money, find love. There's like love gnomes, there's money gnomes, there's good luck.
Yeah, a lot of people think that that they bring fortune to you or they bring good things to you, but there's other stories that tell otherwise. That there's more on the creepy side, like they're not good, they're mischievous.
Yes, because online it also talked about how these same people that do these rituals, they could actually use them like for for like almost not black, I don't want to say black magic, but to like curse you. So they'll tell whoever, like let's say I go to see a witch, a bruja, and I'm like, you know what, I don't like this person. They could actually get a gnome, like a little figurine. They're like made out of like clay. It looks almost like clay. They look a lot different than the ones you see on the yards. Those look friendly. But yeah, these little clay figurines, and they tell the person to take them out into the moonlight overnight for like 3 days, and then you almost like, it's almost like you pray to them. I want to say, like almost like you're doing something with that has to do with spirits, because supposedly spirits are the ones that take over these figurines, and that's what makes them come alive. I mean, that's one of the beliefs, because there's multiple beliefs in them.
Yeah.
Because I know the Mayans used to use them, the Aztecs used to use them too, but they weren't called gnomes. They had a weird name for them, chacual or something like that. But
but
who knows?
Like I said, it's like I walk in Plaza Mexico often, but as soon as it starts getting dark, I'm back. Like I don't go. Yeah, past like 6, I'm not really walking.
You're not really out there anymore.
Yeah, just in case it's real.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of videos online too on YouTube, but you could tell most of them are fake.
Yeah.
You see these little things that look like they're being pulled by strings.
Yeah. I walked after that story, I went walking again, but it was during the day, and I was checking to see if there was any gnomes like by the patio area or inside the shops or anything. And I did not see any statue of a gnome or a duende or anything like that outside of the Plaza Mexico. I did see 2 though, inside a vitrina.
What's that?
Vitrina is like where they showcase the things outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell I'm not 100% Mexican.
Where they show things
like a display.
Yeah,
like a display.
It was a display.
Okay.
So there was like some clothing, and then mannequins, and then there was like 2 little gnomes, and I mean, that's it. But then they say, like the stories say that they come back in the night, like they look like little statues during the day, and then
they come alive at night.
They come alive at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, read a little bit online about how back in the day in Mexico, the farmers used to use them to protect their fields, and also to help like bring luck to so they could have a good cosecha. How do you say cosecha in English?
Harvest.
A harvest, yeah. A good harvest. This is a Spanglish episode. But the farmers used to use them, and supposedly sometimes these little people or gnomes or duendes, they would sometimes take some of their like animals, like their chickens would disappear and stuff, and they would blame it on the duendes. So what they would do, they would put offerings to these little figurines and stuff, so they would stop doing that. So the story goes really deep with these things, you know.
So maybe the duendes did that and not the chupacabras back in that day.
I guess there's no stories of them sucking the blood out of goats and stuff, but yeah, they also have. There's a man. There's this really good one. There's this man in Mexico. He's in Sonora, and he actually has a museum for these duendes.
Oh my goodness!
And he has a really good story. He talks about how when he was younger, I think this was like 21 years ago, he was in Zócalo, in Mexico, and there was an old lady selling these figurines, and she called them. He said that she called them a troll, right? Because it was from I forgot what country, what country they call them trolls, but she pressured him to purchase this troll, and told him that it would bring him fortune. And so the guy was like, yeah, I know, I'm not interested. You know, like when you go anywhere and there's somebody selling something and you're like,
Yeah.
Okay. But this lady was like, no, seriously, you know, if you follow my instructions and, you know, take this gnome, it's going to bring you fortune. You'll see. So the guy was like, okay, I'll buy it. You know, just leave me alone. I'll buy it. So he took it home and he put it away. And I think he said like 3 months later, his wife found the figurine and asked him like, what's this, you know? And he told him, oh yeah, when estaba en Zócalo, you know, I purchased it from an old lady. And he's like, well, throw it away, or, you know, get rid of it. Why is it here? Yeah. And so he remembered what the lady had said. And I guess during that time, business wasn't good. The guy used to sell coffee in the street, and, you know, very humble business. But so he's like, you know what? Why not do what the lady told me and see what happens? You know, what do I have to lose? So he took the figurine out in the moonlight, and he's supposed to leave it out overnight. And he said the first night, you know, that after the first night, nothing happened. Business was, you know, as usual. Second night, the same thing. But then on the third night, after that third night, he noticed his, you know, whatever he sold in his product doubled. You know, like let's say instead of selling 20 coffees, he sold 40 coffees. I don't know. But so it doubled. So he's like, whoa, you know, maybe it's the duende, you know, but still, you're still kind of skeptical if it's just coincidence. So he kept on doing it, and business just started booming. And so then he started telling the story of how, you know, of the duende, like how he was bringing fortune. So people started asking him, like, where can I get some of these duendes? So he's like, you know what? I should sell duendes. So he started purchasing the duendes and selling them. His business kept growing. Till finally, he was making so much money. And he always thanked the troll for it. So what he did, he ended up buying a house in Sonora. And he built it to belong to the duendes. And so now you could go to that place and go look at the stuff. All the little figurines. You could even go and make wishes. They have like these money trolls where they have like a little, like a platter, and you put some money in there and stuff and make a wish and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, you never know, but I think a lot of the time something like that could be just because, you know, so I think sometimes when you believe, it kind of encourages you to believe in yourself. And I think maybe that's
the reason why he did.
That's what really happened. But hey, whatever works. Yeah. Oh. So is there anything else you want to touch up on duendes? Have you heard anything else? How about from your family? Because I know my mom a long time. You know what? I should have asked her, but a long time ago told me about a family in Mexico too. But she didn't call them duendes. She called them little people. Like, you know, there was little people walking in the house, and they would like hide like stuff.
Yeah, we heard the same thing. Well, I heard stories about like duendes also doing like, you know, bad things around the house, hiding things. Yeah. And that also it brings like bad energy sometimes inside your home, like saying that if there is like a gnome presence or any of that, if you're having gnomes in your yard or anything, if they come back to, you know, to life during the night while you're sleeping, that either they will hide things, or that also they bring bad negative you know, vibes, energies, and that you will most likely like start fighting with your relatives, or you know, like bring problems in, like you guys start picking on each other, or things happen?
I think sometimes that's the reverse though. I don't think it's like you bring the figurines in and then bad stuff happens. I think a lot of the times when there's problems in the family, that's what causes stuff to happen. Because that's the same thing with hauntings. I've noticed that with a lot of people that I've spoke to, that I've talked to about like that have had issues in the past. Usually the hauntings happen when there's something going on in the family, either with either between spouses or with your kids. If the kids are having issues with drugs or anything, that's when the paranormal increases. So it could be something like that where they already have the little gnomes and they're like, and then maybe that kind of activates something. But
yeah, it could be.
Yeah, because I don't think just having some gnomes and they're gonna come to life and do stuff. But
right.
I think sometimes it's because we're the ones that carry the energy.
Right.
These things are lifeless. So you're whatever you carry that.
It's like you're feeding them your energy, whether it's negative or positive. You're feeding them the energy.
Yeah. And you know what? That's another thing, because I remember there was this lady, a customer of mine, that collected fairies. And she had kind of the same belief that if you have these fairies around, they bring those bring good luck, not bad luck. And who knows? I mean, people do that already with like I said, with church. A lot of people keep the little figurines, even pictures all over the place. Because
we carry a rosary in our car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I believe it's more your energy, and maybe having these things influences you to, you feel good. Sometimes they make you feel good, so you're making your energy positive. So yeah, I don't know where the show's going, because now it's becoming more of a feel good.
I feel good.
But
yeah.
Anyway, so what other stories do you have? Because I know you only told me that one. I didn't want you to ruin the other ones for me, so I'd rather them be a surprise.
Yeah, I want to tell you a story about when I was in middle school. My sister and I used to walk in the mornings to school, and in order not to disturb, my parents, we used to go through the back door of the house, and there is a shared fence between us and the neighbor behind us. And every single morning when he used to either walk into his house or out, we used to see him pass through. And at least his shadow, we always used to see him pass through, because my dad used to have like lonas on the fencing.
So this is when you were leaving the school. Every morning you would see this person.
Yes, I would see his silhouette, hear him walking, and always say, good morning or have a good day. And he used to say like, hey girls, have a good day, good morning, everything like that. So then we used to go on and just take off and go to school. So one morning, it was just that particular morning, my sister and I saw the same thing. We saw his silhouette go by, and we say good morning, and he didn't answer, but we saw him pass by, and we heard him pass by, and we were like, okay. So we just went to school. And then that day that we came, back from school, the family members right there, the two parents, they said that he had passed, that he didn't come back that morning, or that night he didn't come back. So then we were like, we didn't know what to say. We were just like, I don't know, like, did we hear or see something wrong, or are they getting their story wrong, and he did come this morning? What's going on? I don't know. So the thing is that my sister and I just looked at each other kind of puzzled, and we were like, okay, this is really weird. Like we saw his silhouette go by, and we heard him. He didn't say, have a good day, but we are 100% sure that we saw someone, and that someone at that time is always him. So that's kind of weird. Like, I still believe that it was him. Yeah.
Well, that's very, very common.
Yeah.
I think a lot of stories you hear from other people where, there's someone that has the same kind of almost like a routine that they do.
Yeah.
And then when they suddenly pass, there's other people that actually get to see this person doing, who they believe is the same person, doing their normal activities.
Right.
And then later on they find out, oh, well, that person passed away a few days ago, and you're like, oh crap, like, but I just saw him.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we know we're not, like, crazy, because we both experienced it. So it's just like, that is so weird. So it came to a shock to us.
That actually makes it that makes it better when it's more than one person.
Yeah. I'm glad that she was there with me. That way she knows, and I know, that something actually happened.
And that was here in San Pedro.
Yeah, that's right here in San Pedro.
San Pedro, man. San Pedro has so many like good ghost stories, and you've heard about the San Pedro haunting, right? The famous San Pedro haunting. But anyways, guys, we're going to take a little break right here because I need to make sure the camera's recording still and everything. Because like I said, I haven't done this in a while. And so I just want to make sure everything's okay. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, guys, now, and we're back. All right. So anyways, so you were telling us about, right now when we took the little break, you were telling me something interesting about what, you were relating it to the last story you just mentioned about the silhouette, the spirit you saw.
Yeah, often I heard stories about people saying that when people suddenly die, and the spirit, I guess, does not know that it passed. So then they continue with their daily routine, just like you mentioned before. So maybe, this person passed suddenly. I do not know the details of how they passed, but maybe they passed suddenly and they did not know they passed. So their spirit just kept going, with their routine. And that's why we saw the silhouette and he was still coming home and, all that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's true because I've heard the same thing from the ghost stories I've listened to from different people where, it could be even years later where they hear certain sounds, like either like at a certain time.
Wow, years later.
Yeah, years later, they'll hear, but it's something that happens through time. And it continues to happen to this day where, let's say, a woman's husband passes away and he would always get home at 5:00, and she would hear him walking through the house, the same path. It's almost like we become creatures of habit where we do the exact same thing over and over. So, let's say she says, oh yeah, I heard him, at 5:00 not every day, but like once a week, once a month. They hear that and people right away, they're like, oh, it's so-and-so, because that's what they do. Or even if it's not sounds, smells. Like people will smell like either the mom's perfume or the grandmother's perfume, in a certain room. And they're like, oh, that's the room where she used to go and do her little knitting or whatever.
But do you think that those like scents and things like that, or, everything that is auditive or, scents come from memory, perhaps?
I think so.
It's just from memory and not really that their spirits are manifesting?
I think so because, I mean, that's a good question. I think a lot of the times too, it's, how our minds are way more complicated than we can imagine, So I'm sure there's something, because when you die, the spirit is not human anymore. It's not physical anymore. It's energy. So maybe that's a way they somehow communicate with us by triggering these, these things in our mind. But it's like this one time I was filming here with Carlos, my co-host from the show, and we were sitting editing after the show. We were sitting on the table editing, and he had headphones on and I was listening to music, and we both started hearing somebody whispering between us.
Oh my gosh. But
the thing is, he was wearing headphones, so he couldn't hear what I was hearing.
Okay.
And after we looked at each other, and we knew what we heard. So he took off his headphones. And we started thinking about it like, oh crap, how did we hear this? And I told him, it was almost like I heard it inside my head. It wasn't like I heard it like through my ears, my physical ears, but my brain understood it. So who knows? Who knows?
But you guys both experienced it.
We both experienced it.
Okay, that's paranormal.
Paranormal, yeah. Yeah. So you have one more story? Was that it? Was it just?
I mean, I have many.
You have many stories, right?
I have many stories, but I think that we could
save that for another time.
Yeah, we can save that for another time.
Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, before we end this episode, I did want to mention that, the reason I have Cynthia here as a guest, and also that, this new setup is because we're working on a new show that we're going to do together now. And we'll see how it goes, right? Because it's something new. We're going to try it out. It's going to be a talk show. And I've been wanting to do this for a while now. And I was supposed to have a friend of mine do it with me, Damien. Shout out to Damien. But for personal reasons, she couldn't do it anymore. So, I was on the lookout for someone else. And Cynthia came along, So we're going to try it out and see how it goes. Hopefully you guys you guys like it. It's going to be called Hot Stone Topics. And she came up with the name, so I didn't have to do that. She already has a Facebook and everything, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. And the show basically is gonna be, at least for I know there's certain things you want to do with it, but I want to almost make it like a Regis and Kathy Lee kind of thing, Kelly and Ryan, the Latino versions of them. And I want to see if we could implement going to local businesses and stuff to help local businesses too.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, have guests and all that stuff. We're gonna have merch. I'm just going ahead of myself. But anyways, Cynthia, thank you for being here with me. Oh, and before we go, I want to do a quick shout out to my youngest fan from San Pedro Paranormal, Aiden. He's a future ghost hunter. Super smart kid. I met this kid at one of my jobs, and he watches the show. Mm-hmm. And he started asking me questions about the paranormal. He's all like, so what do you think about this? And he got deep. He started asking about religion, what happens when we die, and his beliefs on it.
Yeah.
Super smart kid. The future Zach Baggins of Ghost Adventures and stuff. But anyways, shout out.
Maybe we can invite him next time.
Yeah, that would be awesome to have him here. Yeah. Shout out to Aiden. Is there anything you want to plug before we leave?
No, thank you for having me here, and we're looking forward for more shows.
Yeah. Hot Stone Topics.
Yeah.
I like that title. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the other show. And maybe you'll come back and do another San Pedro Paranormal episode.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Sounds
Thanks
great.
for watching.
Bye-bye.